Welcome everybody to our first Halloween spotlight for this spooky season, and it is 2001's The Others, which from StudioCanal has been given a brand new 4K restoration, and yeah, looks really rather excellent. And it's directed by Alejandro Amenbar, who also did Regression, but that's really rather quite a woeful film, to be honest. And this is a gothic supernatural psychological horror, so a nice mix of different subgenres of the horror genre, and it clocks in at 104 minutes long. It's a massive box office success because it only cost 17 million to make, although it looks a lot more expensive than that. And yeah, it made nearly 210 million worldwide. So yeah, massive success of the film, quite frankly. And it stars Nicole Kidman, who was in the likes of The Northman, Dead Calm, Before I Go to Sleep, Destroyer, and The Peacemaker, as well as Christopher Eccleston, who was also in 28 Days Later and Shallow Grave, as well as obviously being the first incarnation of the reboot of Doctor Who. And yeah, this is about Grace, who is a religious woman who lives in an old house kept dark because her two children, Anne and Nicholas, have a rare sensitivity to light. When the family begins to suspect the house is haunted, Grace fights to protect her children at any cost in the face of strange events and disturbing visions. So yeah, this is an easy contender for my favourite horror film from the 2000s, and it couldn't be any more different to the kind of horror films being made at that time, as it is a period production, not a slasher, and there are 0 kills in this film. So yeah, that said, this is great in its own right, thanks to the excellent cast, with Nicole Kidman being the standout. But I have to say the two performances from the children are also really rather good. And to be honest, if those performances weren't good, a lot of this film would not work. It would be annoying, and yet, because of how good they are in their roles, they are really rather, yeah, engrossing to watch. I love the setting. It is well paced. The cinematography is superb. There is effective tension throughout. It is really rather deeply atmospheric, not just due to the location, but the really rather nice use of fog and the fact it's got very limited lighting. The score is excellent and it is highly engrossing. Sure, its twists might not quite work as well upon a rewatch, but it still overall packs an emotional punch. And yeah, I like that twist because there's initially a little twist and then there's a much bigger twist that happens afterwards, so it kind of like lures you in into thinking that there's something else going on, not something else going on, and then you realise there is something else going on. So yeah, it's really good in that regard. And I like the new artwork that StudioCanal have given it as well. This sticker can come off, by the way, but I left it on to show you that it is a brand new restoration. So yeah, the discs themselves, basically basic print, but you know, still nicely done regardless. I really wish this would get like a limited edition release or something as well, because like I said, it's easily one of my favourite horror films of the 2000s, never mind of all time. So I'd really like to be able to have the ultimate version of this film. But yeah, you also get a whole host of special features on it as well. One of which is new. You get a new looking back at The Others, plus you get a documentary including interviews with the director Fernando Bavaria, Christopher Eccleston and Nicole Kidman. Then you got a look inside The Others. You got an original documentary, which is an original documentary even. Then you got visual effects featurette, zero drama pigmentosum. I think that's Latin. But yeah, what is it? And then you got an intimate look at the director himself, stills gallery, and the original trailer. So yeah, I've not watched any of the extras yet, but the film is still superb in its own right. Like I said, you don't always necessarily have to compare it to other films or the kind of films that were being made at that time, but it really is a kind of, you know, the black sheep of the horror genre from that time, because a lot of horror films were getting quite, you know, nihilistic in some ways, and you obviously had a lot of slashers. You had your J-horrors coming in from that at that time, and yet this just feels a little bit old-fashioned maybe in some regards. I do get an inkling of the innocence in this, because again, that film had children in it, you know, a spooky house and the like of that. But yeah, this still stands up on its own merits as far as I'm concerned, and is a solid 5 out of 5. Easy as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, if you've seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But if you haven't and you're into these kind of older style horror films that aren't relying on, you know, jump scares and the like, then you will hopefully enjoy this as well. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.